All right, this is Trinidad and Tim again. We are going to continue with the next number 10 through probably number 6 as we go through the MLB Pipeline top 30. We've already gone through 30 through 11. It's been quite a blast. Just talking about these players. The Dodgers are loaded. In fact, not a lot of people know this. I did talk to somebody a little bit important with the Dodgers. His name is Andrew Friedman. I went up and talked to him during a little practice. Just workouts they were doing. He's out there, and the players, they know when he's out there, and that's good. He was out there a lot, and I introduced myself. He actually knew of our site, which was really cool. And then, he said he was just going, man, I'm going to get the words wrong, but kind of paraphrasing. He goes, I was talking, basically I thanked him. I said, hey, thanks, man, for, keeping us busy. We love the content, that you give us. He goes, yeah, can you believe how loaded we are? Or something like that, how much we have. And so he's very proud of the you could just tell he's proud of the organization and what they've done. And, we're very fortunate to be covering a team like the Dodgers that have such a great group of, first of all, from the front office on down. And then, the coaching staff, you've met some of them, of course, Trinidad, and I met more of them. Just wonderful, wonderful people. So let's go. We ended at number 11 with Nick Frasso. Our next guy, another right-handed pitcher. What do you know? Local boy, Nick Nastrini. He's actually used to be, I didn't know this. I finally met him. He's actually almost a neighbor of mine for a while. And he's actually plays catch with a kid I used to coach under a guy that was my younger son's pitching coach. So yeah, it's pretty cool. He went to Cathedral Catholic school down here in San Diego, and so he went there. He works out where to be honest, there's a lot of guys that work out with the guy's name is Patrick Edwards. He is, in my opinion, one of the greatest pitching coaches around. And he works not only with guys like Nick and Michael Mercado with the Rays, but a lot of the Padres like to work with him too. So shout out to Patrick Edwards, my son's pitching coach, friend of mine, and coach of Nick Nastrini, who's, it's like one of those things where you go, wow, we have a lot of commons. We just started talking about commons, like, oh, do you know a guy named Mike McCarter? Goes, oh yeah, that's my guy I play catch with. Okay, that's his throwing partner. Okay, that's Michael Mercado, with second round pick with the Rays back in 2017. And yeah, I coached him in Little League when he was 13 in juniors. Yeah, it was really cool. Really great kid. And Nick seems like a really good guy. Didn't make it in any games, though. I was hoping to see him live. I missed him. He's another guy that I missed in 2021. He was through just a few games at Rancho. But I did.
He was out there in those few games in Rancho.
Yeah. He's a guy that, UCLA, things kind of got little the command issues, but now he's narrowing it and getting better and better. And, he's moving up. He's moving up pretty darn quick.
Really quick, too. I mean, he moved up to the number 10 spot.
Yeah. For him to do that is pretty darn cool. He was just keeps getting better and better. And so with him, the obvious is with a lot of the pitchers, it's the command and the walks. And but the good news is he's getting better. The overall stuff is there. Just a really polite guy. In fact, I'm going to pull up just a little quote from him because I never got to use it when I was with Doug. I was supposed to do some work with Doug, and we haven't hooked up on it yet. So I'm going to, I asked Nick because he showed up as number 5. I don't know if you saw it on the what are they called, Fangraphs list. And so,
okay,
yeah. And so I asked Nick just for a little quote about how he felt about that. And so he responded to me in a really nice way. He just he says he's super fired up to be thought of when making these prospect lists, and more so to be thought of as a top 10 prospect in the best organization in all of baseball. It's very rewarding to see my name up there, especially when I considered quitting after my junior year of college, UCLA. With that being said, I have a lot of work to do to get to where I want to be. So I take these rankings with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, nothing is guaranteed, and I am light years away from where I want and think I can be as a baseball player. That is a Dodger right there.
Yep.
Very humble. Very, just a really good dude from what I've seen. Got to, as I said, I finally met him. I only got to see him do a little bit of a bullpen. It was one of those lucky ones where the first guy that I saw that day was that? I think that, yeah, that was Kershaw day. No, it was Bobby Miller day. I got one of the bullpens I did catch was Clayton Kershaw, and even though he's not a prospect anymore, he is a former prospect. I did throw up a one pitch only with Clayton Kershaw, put it to slow music, and made some people cry, including maybe even myself. I don't know. We're blessed to have had him. But Nastrini, just seeing him, I got to take a few shots of him, but I never got to see him in a game. I was kind of bummed about that. If anyone who does go out there, he did get reassigned back to the minor league camp, so you'll probably see him in some of those camp games.
Right.
If you go out there, you're going to see 2 games going on, probably starting about 11 o'clock. There'll be 2 games at that field, and then if they're playing the White Sox, there'll actually be 4 games with Dodgers going on. So it's really cool to be on the White Sox side. So catch Nick out there if you can. And if you got any good video of him, we would take it and be happy to publish it and give you credit. Oh, baby. Here we go.
I'm shocked that he's at number 9.
Yeah. Well, they just the age. So people, if you ever get a chance to talk to James Outman, just ask him who the first guy was that interviewed him. See who he answers. I know the answer. See if you can figure that out. And go back to do a little search on Dodgers Nation about 2018. You'll find that answer. Let's be honest. James done everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we never got to see him in Rancho because of the COVID stuff. But gosh,
that would have been his COVID. COVID would have been his Rancho years, right?
Would have been, yeah, when they were still high A too, because he was at Great Lakes the year before.
Right, and then obviously COVID hit, and they were changed from high A to low A.
Yeah, and so we missed him there, but he had such a great year last year, and he's a guy that we all know we saw what he did. He had just the dream debut against the Rockies, and those, I thought they were horrid Rocky uniforms, but he hit a home run on his first at bat. I think he had 3 hits.
It was a hit away from the cycle or something like that.
It's insane. And they sent him back down, never brought him back up again. And instead of going and pouting and crying, he went and
worked hard.
Yeah, and he hit he hit 2 cycles within a week.
Yeah, 2 cycles within 4 days.
Yeah, he went and crushed it at AAA. And so there's a lot to this guy. Talking with him, he's a former football player. And,
right.
And just kind of James really, this guy is easy to talk to. He's definitely one of the good guys, an autograph guy, definitely a guy that's going to sign for kids and everyone else. But you're just a good guy. We're talking about stuff, and I was asking him, because he played linebacker in football. What's more instinctual than playing linebacker versus being a baseball player? I mean, with football, very instinctual. Playing linebacker, very, you're just you're reading and reacting, right?
Right.
Baseball, it's different. You can't get too high, can't get too low. And but he did say, when you get hot in baseball, he's got to ride it out. And so right now he's riding out a hot streak.
Yeah, definitely is.
And he's looking good. If he's not on the roster, it's like we riot, right? I mean, Numbers could get up to him, but he's gonna keep doing his job, and if he doesn't make the opening day roster, and I think he should be opening day lineup, not just the roster.
Oh
I
yeah,
would,
definitely.
yeah, I'd be starting him in center field, and bat him in a lower spot. But he let him work his way up. But
I think now that with this whole with him being on this hot streak, and then if you really see look at what happened with Trace Thompson, he was struggling as well in spring training, but now he's turned it up in the WBC.
yeah,
You got Jason Hayward as well too, who's all of a sudden now he looks like he's in his rookie season all over again. I mean, it just comes to show like how the Dodgers are really good at developing these young cats, and then reinventing the older guys coming back. And if they had a
yeah.
low, you know, but at the end of the day,
Peralta had some key hits yesterday, didn't he?
yeah, definitely. He's another talk too. So now he shows like how it's starting to come down to making Dave Roberts' decision a lot tougher now in center field or even in the outfield in general.
Yeah. Well, and I think that if you look at the roster, someone's going to get hurt. We know that. We've already seen it with the
Definitely.
pitching, and hopefully that I don't want anyone to get hurt, but James Outman's ready. I mean,
Right. And then
and
another thing too that opened the door for them was Gavin Lux going down too, because now you got to move Chris Taylor from the outfield into the infield.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like what they're going to do with Taylor's playing about 40 games at short. Sounds like they're going to tag Mookie for 40 games at second, which means with Rojas, hey, the guy's 34, so let the guy rest a bit and have him
Right.
ready for the postseason. Taylor's fine out there. He's a fine shortstop. He's not great. He's not bad. He's a good backup, and hopefully we get Taylor playing all over the field because I think that's when he's best.
Yeah.
So James Outman is he's a guy that's got to be there. And a guy, and I talked about it briefly with Alex Freeland. I did not recognize Mr. Rushing at all. It was almost embarrassing. I get in the dugout, introducing to myself to a bunch of catchers. Ryan January was there, a few others. And then this other guy I didn't recognize. I go, "Hey, I'm Tim Rogers." And he goes, "Oh, I'm Dalton Rushing." I'm like, "Oh, geez, what?" He had cut his hair so much he did not look the same at all. But again, another great guy, friendly guy. Like half these guys, he does follow our channel, which I really appreciate on Instagram. Very, very into the game. So just, and I'm not going to divulge everything, but just the guy's into the game. He was talking, in between innings and all that type of stuff, learning, questioning himself, questioning the pitches that he was calling, talking about the pitches he was calling. The guy wants to get better. I'm going to talk defense. I'm going to let you talk offense with him. Let me talk defense with him a bit. Saw him throw out a guy. He looked good. And just remember, he did not catch full-time ever in college.
Right.
He was the backup to Henry Davis, who was the number one pick. And then even after that, in 2022, he only caught half the games.
Yeah.
So he also works out at first, but there's that work ethic that the Dodgers look for in these players. They look for high character guys, and they look for work ethic and guys that want to learn. If you do those three things, you're doing the Dodger way. And that's what matters. So defensively, he's getting better. He's learning his craft. I'm gonna let you take the easy stuff. You get to talk about the offense.
No, the offense, he got a lot of pop in his bat, which I think to me he was one of the better bats in the draft, obviously from last season. Every time he was, I think, what was it, in a span like in a week or so, he was literally hitting the ball out almost every time he came up to the plate was hard contact. I think in Rancho he was batting like at least over 400 at least before he got the call up because he was only there for like at least 2 weeks max.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, then he went to Great Lakes and then still kept it going. So, I mean, you just can tell his hand-eye coordination at the plate is just really good. He recognizes pitch really well as well too. So he won't swing out of the strike zone very much. So you could tell that he'll try to draw a walk, and he'll make the pitcher work for them to come to pitch to him rather than him let the pitcher get ahead of him as well too.
Yeah, you know what? A good, really good call because I saw some of that at spring training in some of the games. Yeah, he played, played in the game. They played the Great Britain WBC team. They played a Korean team. They played the White Sox, a team there. And what during his at bats, he would foul off a lot of balls, working the count. He still may strike out, but it wasn't like 0-2 striking out on on the it's no, he's going to work it. He's going to work 6, 7 pitches. If they're going to get him out, strikeouts do happen, but there's the quality at bat, and he definitely seems to put up a quality at bat. So catchers, we're loaded, folks. There might even be another one on this list. I don't know. There
I
might
think he's
be.
the only left-handed catcher we have, right?
Well,
Or
uh,
left-handed hitting catcher,
they
I
were,
think.
they were on Lorenzo. I hope I give him his name. Lorenzo. He is a switch hitter, and
Okay.
he will be on this list someday. Trust me. Speaking of guys who hit the ball really hard,
Yes, this guy is another one too who's ready to knock is starting to knock on the door.
oh man, at least I mean I've kind of lost a little bit of track just because I've been so busy, but he's really had a heck of a spring training.
Yeah.
I mean, the strikeouts seem to be down, and
Which he was struggling too last season as well with it.
yeah, I mean in Double A, he definitely took he struggled. He did struggle is a fair word. The HRs were down a little bit. The batting average was down, on base percentage, the slug, everything was down. But man, he looks really good. And it looked to me just he looks like he looked a little thinner even. So maybe he lost some weight. He looks
I was
really
just about
good.
to tell you that too. I think he finally put some muscle, but he lost some fat
Yeah.
or like he slimmed down pretty much. That's the word.
It's called, it's just called growing up in some ways, right? You finally shed that stuff finally, but oh man, he's looked really good and good for him. Yeah, I saw him. I got some footage of him. Hopefully I can find some of that and use it in some either in this video or another video, but he looked really good to me, and it's good to see because I was starting to get a little worried about him. I got to be honest with you that maybe he wasn't gonna really turn into what we hoped for. But
Right.
he's got two huge tools, and the power is one of them, and the arm is the other.
Right.
And those are going to get him a long ways. As long as he makes enough contact, he doesn't have to. I don't need him to hit 300. I think in the major leagues, if he hits 240, 250, I think with the power he has, and I think with some of the discipline he's starting to acquire with the walks, I think he's a really good ball player at that point. And he can play. He can play center.
Okay.
Um, but he's definitely a guy that's a right field arm, and maybe someday Mookie plays second base and full time, and Andy plays it in right field. Who knows? But
Yeah, he's going to be in AAA starting this season, probably more than likely.
yeah, I hope so. I don't know. I mean, we see the Dodgers do that. They'll do things like they'll hold guys back, and you kind of wonder about it, but fortunately, they held Diego back for us last year, so we got to get a lot of
Yeah, we got a lot of
got to see a
Diego
lot
last
of
season.
him. But yeah, I'd like to see Paez keep moving up. I think it's good for him. Ryan Pepiot,
That's your boy.
man, I tell you, what a spring training he's had so far.
Yes, that change of still looking really devastating. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Casey Porter and I recorded something earlier today, and he went into depth. So take a look at what Casey at Casey's site at Dodgers Daily, on his thing, and he was on Dodgers Prospects podcast. We talk about Pepiot a little bit, and he really gets into it and how he's trying to shape his changeup actually, and
Right.
get because what Casey was talking about was how the hitters, major league hitters, weren't swinging at that stuff. At that
Right.
the stuff coming inside, they weren't swinging at it. So now it's like, okay, now he's got to narrow it a little bit, get it a little bit closer to the plate, working his slider differently, working different shapes of his slider. But at the end of the day, the guy's walked one guy. And of course, Casey gets a big little grin out of it because the guy he walked was Ryan Noda. That's one of Casey's favorite, and that he was
Oh
not
yeah, that's the guy
happy.
from Oakland, right? The
Yeah,
guy that Oakland took.
yeah, he was not happy the Dodgers let him go. Um, but yeah, Pep's done really well. I think, it looks like he's in line for that fifth spot. It's either him or Grove, maybe Andre. Andre's not on this list.
Which is pretty surprising though, because Andre Jackson really revamped himself this past season too.
Yeah, he looked good, man. He had what, 3 shutty
Yeah,
yesterday or the day before. I mean, yeah, he's looking good. Pep's looking good. Grove's looking good. Stone in his one appearance, it's one, right? I think it was one appearance. He looked good. Maybe it was
he had like 2
second.
appearances, I think.
Yeah, he's looked good. We haven't seen Bobby yet, though. Bobby Miller, have we?
Bobby hasn't really made an appearance yet with the MLB squad yet.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe Bobby Miller's on this list, and maybe we will get to him in another episode. So that is players 10 through 6. We only have 5 more to go. We're going to end this recording, and then we'll be starting up again with the last 5 as Trinidad and I do our marathon session talking about the top 30 prospects. And really, this list should be bigger, but there's only 30 guys you can put on here, but there's so many guys, and we've already heard us over these episodes talk about some of them, and couldn't be more excited about this group. I mean, they're just loaded. Sean McClain not being on here, Ronaldo Yane, Ibarro, Yoel Ibarro, so many other guys that just look really good. And in fact, the next episode, I'm going to talk about one of the surprises of spring training. It kind of came out of nowhere. So appreciate everyone watching. We're going to end this one, and then we'll start up a new one, and we'll see you with the next episode in a couple of days. So thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe.